Welcome to our channel, The Pure Wine Ministry. Today we want to talk about this painting, comparing it with the creation. When an artist does a piece of artwork, he starts by painting the sky, and then move downwards until you reach to the ground. At first he starts by painting spaces, and then after the spaces are ready, he starts to fill the spaces. When the painting is finished, what is the last thing does the artist do? He signed his painting, right? If he doesn't sign it, anyone else could come and sign it and say that they are the one that made it. For the artwork to have any value, of the painter or artist need to sign it. Where did they learn that from? Of course it came from the master artist, the creator of heaven and earth. Genesis chapter 1 gives us a whole outline detail of how God created heaven and earth. The first verse of Genesis chapter 1 says that in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. Verse 3 says, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So we see that he started the creation by creating the heavenly things first. If you analyze the creation record, you will notice that God took 3 days creating spaces, and the following 3 days he took to fill the spaces that he had created. Let us now take a quick look at the Bible's account of the beginning. The earth was shrouded with water and darkness, and on the first day of creation, God separated the light from the darkness and called the light day on the darkness night. That's how he created the first space. And on the fourth day, he filled in the space. On the fourth day, Genesis 1:14 says, "And God said, Let there be light in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and seasons, and for a day and years." And verse 16 says, "And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. And he made stars also." On the second day God divided the waters, separating the atmosphere from the water clinging to the earth, making a condition suitable for life. On the fifth day he filled in this space. Verse 20 says, "And God said, Let that the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." Verse 21 says, "And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good." Verse 22 says, "And God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful, and multiply, and fill the waters in the sea, and let the fowl multiply in the earth." On the third day God gathered the waters together into one place, establishing land and sea. Then God closed the naked shores, hills, and valleys. The land produced vegetation plants, bringing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. Therefore we see that on day 3 God created environment suitable to sustain life, both of animals and of human beings. And day 6 God created the animals and human beings to fill the space that he had created. Verse 24 says, "And God said, Let the earth bring forth living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so." Verse 25, "And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creeped up on the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good." Then, as a crowning act of creation, God made man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female created them. Genesis 1 verse 27. A mere 6 days saw the change from without form and void to a lush planet teeming with fully mature creatures and plants forms. Our planet was adorned with clear, pure, bright colors, shapes and fragrances put together with superb taste and exactness of detail and function. Then God rested, stopping to celebrate, to enjoy. Forever the beauty and majesty of those 6 days would be remembered because of his stopping to rest. Genesis 1:31 says, "And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good." The master artist stepped aside to look and appreciate his artwork that he had just finished. Whether we are conscious or not of what God did in creation, we the human artist are doing the same thing. So that's where we got it from. Don't forget that the last thing that the artist does after finish his artwork is to sign it. Now we need to ask ourselves, did the master artist sign his artwork? Of course he did. So what is his signature? Let us read once more Genesis 1:31. And God saw everything that he had made, and, behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. The master artist took 6 days to finish his artwork. So why did he made another day? When an artist finished his or her artwork, he signed it by putting his signature on it. That is exactly what the Creator did after creating everything in 6 days. He signed his artwork by making another day. And not only make another day, the Bible says that he blessed it on the hallowed it. When you look at the painting and you see the signature, then you know who did the painting. When you keep the Sabbath, then you remember that God is the one that created everything in 6 days and put his signature to let you know who is the master artist, not evolution, it's God. In Exodus 20 verses 8 to 10, remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor, and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. And then in verse 11 it tells us why we should keep the Sabbath. It says, for in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, and hallowed it. Some Christians say that the Sabbath was made for the Jews, but Jesus didn't say that. Rather he said that the Sabbath was made for man. That means that he gave the Sabbath to Adam and Eve. Why do the vast majority of mainstream Christians go to church on Sunday in place of Saturday's Sabbath? To know the answer to that question, we have to go back in history. According to Life, Hope and Truth, at the Council of Nicaea in AD 325, Roman Emperor Constantine and the Catholic Church established Sunday as a day of rest. And at the Council Church of Laodicea around 365, the Catholic Church made it illegal to do days or be idle from work on the seventh-day Sabbath. According to Wikipedia, Sunday was another work day in the Roman Empire. On March 7, 321, however, the Roman Emperor Constantine won issue a civil decree making Sunday a day of rest from labor, stating all judges and city people and the craftsmen will rest upon the venerable day of the sun. Another source of information indicates that the change from observing the Sabbath on Saturday to Sunday is a matter of debate among historians and theologians. They continue to say that in the early Christian church, Jesus' followers, mostly Jews, continue to observe the Sabbath on Saturday as described in the Hebrew Bible. However, with the inclusion of Gentiles, non-Jews converts the focus shift from Saturday to Sunday to commemorate the resurrection of Jesus. They were attending church on Sabbath, and on Sunday they were celebrating the resurrection of Christ. In the Council of Nicaea took place in AD 381, and in the Council of Constantinople in the same year solidified Sunday as the primary day of worship. It's very clear that the change was made more than 200 years after Christ's resurrection. Jesus did not make the change, neither did his disciples, and when we searched the Bible, we didn't see any change in there. Jesus indicated that after his resurrection, his followers should still be keeping the Sabbath. We find that in Matthew 24:20, which says, "But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day." Here, Jesus was talking about the destruction of Jerusalem that would take place in the year 70, and when he said this, it had over 27 years before it came to pass. Let us now read some Bible text that talk about the Sabbath. Genesis 2:1-3. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day, and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. Ezekiel 20:12. Moreover also I gave them my Sabbaths, to be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am the Lord that sanctify them. Exodus 28:11. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor, and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, and hallowed it. All the Christians that say that the Sabbath was only for the Israelites or for the Jews are missing the point. We should not look at the Israelites as a nation, but as the people of God in the Old Testament. They were chosen by God for a purpose, and that was to evangelize the rest of the world. But they did not fulfill that purpose. Remember John 3:16 that says, For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. And verse 17 says, For God sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Jesus kept the Sabbath when he was on earth, giving us an example that we should keep it too. In Luke 4:16, and it says, And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and, as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and stood up for to read. The disciples and the first Christians kept the Sabbath for many years after he went back to heaven. The book of Acts chapter 13 verse 14 says, But, when they departed from Perga, they came to Antioch in Pisidia, and went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, and sat down. Verse 15, And after the reading of the law and the prophets, the rulers of the synagogue sent unto them, saying, Ye men and brethren, if ye have any word of exhortation for the people, say on. Verse 42 and 44 say, And when the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. And the next Sabbath day came almost the whole city together to hear the word of God. Here we are seeing that both Jewish Christians and Gentiles were keeping the Sabbath many years after Jesus went back to heaven. That simple means that Jesus didn't change it, nor did the apostles change it. That simple means that the Saturday Sabbath is still valid today, because the change wasn't God's work. In Matthew 15, verses 3, 8 and 9 Jesus said, Why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition? This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoureth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Finally, I want to say that there is no artist that changes his signature after he has signed his painting, and surely the master artist did not and will not change his signature. That's all for now, my friends. This is Brother Brissett, wishing you God's blessings as you worship him, and don't forget to keep his Sabbath holy and Saturday. And before I go, please remember to like, share and comment. Until next time, bye.